We're here with a guy that has been a part of the Cannon County Woodbury community for a long time in law enforcement. Officer John House, he serves right now as the Woodbury police officer. However, he is running for candidate for Cannon County Sheriff. Good to have you with us today. How long have you been in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement going on 33 years.
Tell us a little bit about the background, where you got started, why you wanted to become a police officer or in law enforcement. I know
everybody always gives the answers of, helping the community or whatever. I got into it for several reasons, public service. My dad, he worked, for the prison system. He got me into it after I graduated high school, protecting the community, making sure that, the people around you are, being protected, feel you're, making a difference in the community in which you live.
Gotcha. And what are some of the things, before you came to Woodbury, I know you've been around for about a little over 20 years. What were some of the things that you did before you became a Woodbury police officer?
After graduating high school in 1984, I went to work with the Tennessee Department of Corrections. I worked 11 years with the TDOC. After that, I got hired on here at the Woodbury Police Department, and I've been here for 22 years.
When you were with the TDOC, Tennessee Department of Corrections, not only were you a correctional officer, but you were an assault team leader, firearms instructor. So you had plenty of duties there at the corrections.
Right. I worked up my way up from a correctional officer to a correctional corporal to administrative correctional corporal. I worked central control. I worked K9. I worked with internal affairs. I did I did a lot of training with firearms instructor, cell extraction instructor, or electronic restraint device instructor. So I like training, and I like to make sure everybody that's working with me is trained.
Right, and it seems like that you've worked with all levels of prisoners, from the least dangerous to the most dangerous.
Correct. I started off 1985 at the old Tennessee State Penitentiary, working maximum security lockup. Worked lockup. I've worked death row. I worked the other housing units, the yard, towers, and whatnot.
When you were hired on at the Woodbury Police Department, you were hired on as a patrol officer, and you've worked your way up as well. A couple of things, some of the other things that you have done while you were at the Woodbury Police Department was you were a DARE officer, SRO. You served as an SRO in the schools. That's an important position, I think, especially with the way that schools are now, more security and stuff. So I remember when you had that position and stuff and how effective you were. And, we could go on and talk about being an SRO. SROs, the idea was, well, we don't need SROs. All they do is they're there to, just to protect the kids against incoming strangers or, perpetrators or something. That's not just what an SRO officer does, is it?
We taught classes, or I taught classes while I was SRO. School resource officer, we were a resource to the faculty, to parents, to the kids. We could kind of point them in the right direction of, if you need this service, you may check here.
Right, because kids would come to you not just about problems they were having in school maybe, but also problems they were having in life.
Right. I've had kids come to me, saying their parents, are using drugs and have drugs, or, one particular case, I'm not going to go into much detail on it, but a female student, a grammar school student, had come up and said that, she had been molested or whatever by someone in the home, and we ended up conducting an investigation on it and he was sent to the penitentiary.
Yeah, so
Because
it's
of it.
very important service in the schools. What are some of the other things that you have done or that you are currently doing at the Woodbury Police Department?
I'm the training officer, field training officer. I'm the general departmental instructor. I'm with the Tennessee Dangerous Drugs Task Force. Basically, we're trained to go in and dismantle clandestine drug labs. I've done K9, patrol, sergeant. So
You name it, you've done it.
Yeah,
The only thing that you haven't done is you haven't been a sheriff yet.
haven't been sheriff yet. Hopefully that'll change August 2nd.
Yeah, it could be. All right. We take a look at some of the things. Of course, you've received awards. Officer of the Year, Woodbury Police Department. Mothers Against Drunk Driving gave you a Bronze DUI Enforcement Award. Now, that wasn't too long ago. That was what, last year, 2017?
Back in November last year,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Let's talk about some of the things that the Cannon County Sheriff's Department, some of the issues that surround the current administration. Number one issue I think that stands out in a lot of people's minds, and they don't really, I don't think they really grasp this as an important of a fact that needs to be, and that's the jail. It needs to be certified.
Right.
What are some of the things that, it says here that it's not been certified in the last 5 years?
Right. Some of the reasons it's not certified is, square footage, understaffing, lack of training for the correctional staff, facilities that are hard use, that are used constantly, like the jail is. For every chronological year, the facilities in operation, the equipment and stuff, it kind of it goes down. It becomes old and worn out. So for our jail right now is 25 years old. So the equipment and stuff in the facility is about a 100-year-old facility.
Wow.
And it's only 25 years old.
Right. Then how important is it for us to have a partnership with the county corrections?
What do you mean?
As far as it says here, County Corrections Partnership Initiative.
Right. That is a voluntary program that's offered through the Tennessee Corrections Institute for facilities or jails that have either are in the process of being decertified or have been decertified, that offers a pathway to certification.
Because what we probably need to stress is that the County Corrections Partnership is the people that certify these jails, correct? Or they help to?
Well, the shareholders or the stakeholders in the partnership are, your law enforcement agency heads, your judges, your community partnerships, with the citizens, the businesses and stuff. It basically takes the whole community in order to run a jail. Whether you're getting, food from your local sources, or if you're growing your food or whatever, it takes money to do that. And right now the Sheriff's Department gets a lot of stuff donated, which is great. So we just need to build on that.
Build on that. Another issue that the Sheriff's Department faces is the staff turnover. There have been, I guess one of the biggest reasons that has been cited by the sheriff and his administration is low pay, lower pay than other deputies. We've had other people talk about, all the pay was the same almost as when I was there, and I was there, I was cool with it. A lot of this that we hear are from the actual, that we hear of are from, well, I can't keep deputies. This is not just a deputy problem. This is actually an overall problem. Jail staff is having problems keeping people too, correct?
A lot of it has to do with, the low pay. COs top out, I believe, at like 11.16 an hour. Road deputies top out, I want to say maybe 12.89 an hour, somewhere around there. You know, that's $26,000 a year. It's hard to raise a family on that. The other problem you have besides the pay is, you know, low staff morale. You know, if a person's that's working does not feel appreciated or receives the backing by the administration, whether it be, you know, the road deputy or from the, you know, COs from the jail administrator on, you know, they're going to take shortcuts. You know, if they're not getting the backing, they'll take shortcuts, which causes, you know, unsafe work environment.
Right, and apparently that is going on right now. Here's another one. And we've noticed that, and there have been some things come out in social media about this here recently. The law needs to be enforced and applied impartially to all.
Yes. You know, the job of the sheriff is to, you know, maintain the jail, enforce, you know, orders from the courts, whether it be arrest warrants, civil warrants, whatever, they have to serve those. Right now, the current administration will kind of pick and choose who they want to arrest on the warrant. You know, say if they have a medical condition or you know, female overcrowding is a big issue. You know, if someone's got a warrant that's a female, you know, chances are you're probably not going to get picked up on that because of, you know, there's nowhere to put them.
Right.
You know, the medical issues. Well, you know, I'm trying to save the taxpayers' dollars. Well, I feel that if you've got a warrant and you know, I've laid eyes on you and I don't take you to jail, you get out here and do something, I think it's more of a liability on the sheriff's department for not doing that than it would be if, you know, I'm trying to save a few dollars by, you know, not, you know, locking you up because, you know, you've got a medical problem or whatever.
Pregnant or something to that effect. I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that being used before. Yep. Another one is, let's see, the sheriff needs a good working relationship, and I agree with this, with the county executive, commissioners, courts, and citizens.
Yes.
And that's with everybody. I mean,
yes.
And right now, you know, the current administration does not have that good working relationship, at least with the county executive. Some commissioners, I would imagine, courts and citizens. Now, I know that the commissioners should, you know, take it upon themselves to go and visit the jail, take a look at the shape the jail's in.
Yes.
But once again, we're talking, you know, this current administration has been asking for budget increases for a long time, each and every year.
Right.
And nothing's really changed, you know, as far as jail facilities or pay of employees or anything like that.
You know, I believe, you know, when this current jail come online back in '93, it was originally designed to be about double the size that it is, but some of the past commissioners that were on the commission at that time chose to cut it in half, and probably the previous sheriff said, oh, we don't need a jail that big, you know, we'll never fill it up or whatever. You know, with the opioid problem that we have and people breaking into people's houses and committing crimes to support that habit, you know, you need a bigger jail.
Yeah.
Some of the things that need to also be done in the jail is, you know, they need to have, you know, drug and alcohol, you know, services available in the jail. It shouldn't be any cost to the taxpayers on that. The health department, you know, has a program to where, you know, you can partner with them, and, you know, they come in and they'll help you. It's just, you know, some of the things that
Just got to get the initiative to get out there and
yep.
and secure those partnerships. Training of staff, we've talked about this before. It's critical. It protects not only just the rest of the staff of the jail, of the deputies and stuff, but it also protects inmates.
Right. You know, failure to train your staff can lead to federal litigation for violation of, you know, constitutional rights, and can lead to abuse of inmates. Uncertified jail is less likely to be defensible, you know, if litigation is brought. So, you know, we need to work with the county commission to either come up with a plan to either expand the jail or look at maybe building a new one.
What, in your opinion, if you know, if you have one, do you think that litigation hasn't been brought by an inmate's family in the last 5 years since the jail has been decertified?
I think you just hadn't had the right inmate to come in there and get the process started.
I know as media we've talked about, you know, we're not going to, and I think you and me have talked about this before off camera, have talked about, you know, we know that the jail's not certified, but we really don't want to emphasize that to the community, because somewhere someone is going to pick up on that and go, wait a minute, my kid or my husband is in jail and he's sleeping in a broom closet. You know, that's, you know, that could be a little dangerous. You know, you hear of them, they've been talking about, you know, well, they're sleeping in the library. I've heard that before, you know, things of that nature, and that's dangerous.
Well, you know, the broom closet, there's no one sleeping in a
Yeah,
broom.
well, that was just a figure of speech. Yeah.
But yeah, they do house inmates in the library. You know, you've got a lot sleeping on mats on the floor. You know, the sheriff, you know, like you said, for years has asked for, you know, more money to run his department. He's not getting that. You know, eventually, either they're going to have to either expand the jail, build a jail, or the feds will come in and mandate that a jail be built. The feds will build the jail, and the taxpayers are going to get the bill for it.
And how's that going to work with the state? You know, that's going to be a big mess if the feds come in, wouldn't it?
It will. You know, back in the 80s, while working with the Tennessee Department of Corrections, you know, they were under federal mandates to reduce the violence and stuff caused by overcrowding and whatnot. So they went on a jail or a prison building deal to get out from under, you know, the federal oversights and the mandates. And it took them a while to do that. You know, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. Right. But, you know, you
got to get the process started somewhere.
It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, sure is. Some of the other things that you have noted in some of your observations I'm seeing here is, one is security is lax at the jail. Apparently there's some inmates getting door keys, from what we're understanding, and assaulting other inmates.
That's happened in the past.
Yeah. Well, and then we've got inmates, and I've seen this too, inmates outside the jail without supervision. How easy, and obviously, you know, more times than not that they don't do this, but how easy is it for an inmate to get going on down the road, you know?
You know, they've had some escapes from the jail or from work details. You know, that's expected, but, you know, going back to having good security measures, a operational facility. I'm surprised when they built this jail that they didn't put a compound fence around it, because, you know, the city and the counties both have caught people, you know, trying to introduce contraband over the, you know, exercise yard fence. You know, they'll park behind the hospital and, you know, walk down the fence row and they'll, you know, toss something. So, you know, security could be better, but that comes with, you know, a well-trained staff, you know, is likely not going to cut the corners. You know, when you don't get backing from the administration, you know, when you do something, you know, it's kind of disheartening to the employees because, you know, they want to do their job and their hands are tied. And so, you know, hey, we're going to make our job easier on us. You know, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And that's where you end up with your problems.
Right. One of the other things is, and I was going to ask this question here. You have an ex-felon that's working and supervising inmates. One of the things that I was going to ask you in my notes here is, how important is it to make sure that your department is not, as a whole, employing anybody with a criminal background?
With certain, with road deputies or anybody that's in law enforcement, you know, there are certain things that you can be arrested for or whatever that you can get a waiver from the post commission. With correctional staff, TCI, you know, will give a waiver for certain things. Some things they won't. With being a non-security person, inmate or ex-inmate, they don't have any say on that. It's a human resources decision whether or not they hire this person.
Gotcha.
But I feel that, you know, jail needs to be jail. You need to have folks running the jail that are law-abiding, hadn't committed, you know, serious felonies and whatnot. It just looks bad on the department in a whole, you know, having, you know, convicted felons, whether you've had your rights reinstated or not, you know, working. You know, your rights being reinstated gives you the right to vote, but, you know, there's still certain jobs that, you know, you can't have.
Right.
And I feel working in a correctional environment, it should be one of those jobs that you ought not be able to have.
Well, I agree with you because, I mean, if you take a look, if you're a felon, you've done your time in the jail.
Right.
You've made friends in the jail.
Right.
So when you get out and somebody figures it out and you're supervising other inmates, they figure it out. Well, wait a minute, you were a felon once. Why don't you let me slide by with this? Or slide. It's more easier than it would be if somebody from, you know, that would follow the law all the time was in there as a deputy or a supervisor, because they could be more stricter. They could they could responsibly do and carry the duties that they were hired to do rather than. And I'm not saying, I understand that we had an issue in the county, once again talking about how county executive and sheriff gets along. There was an issue about one of the county employees that was supervising some you know, inmates that were doing work detail. Right. And that's kind of a different thing because, number one, you're not, those people that are on the work detail are not felonies. They're, you know, okay, we made a mistake, we got the misdemeanors, we got maybe drunk, you know, some of those things. And not only that, but I truly believe that, yes, they should have to go through a certification class. And I would imagine that the person that we're talking about probably would have been one of those on that exempt list from the state if, you know, everything had gone through. But that's another debate for another day, I'm sure.
It is.
So, what are some of the values that you would like to instill in a department if you get elected sheriff?
You know, one would be, you know, integrity, doing the right thing, you know, when someone's not watching. Honor, you know, you got to treat everybody fair. Fair, firm, concise, you know, you've got to have a commitment to duty, and, you know, you got to have courage to do the job.
That's a big thing too, is that once you get courage to do the job, I think when you get that courage, I think all these other things could very well fall into place. Now, sometimes they don't, but I think, that's what happens. All right, some of the things that you would like to implement if elected sheriff.
Some of the things would be, and these would be at no cost to the sheriff's department. Your employees need to know they're appreciated. So, an employees award and recognition program, employee evaluation program to, kind of see how they're progressing in their career. Things that, needs to be worked on or corrected. You can do that through the evaluation process. Neighborhood watch. The sheriff's department, usually has 2 deputies on at the road at any given time. Sometimes they only have 1 when someone lays out. The communities is our, eyes and ears. If we don't know something's going on, there's not really anything we can do about it. Drug and alcohol meetings for the offenders at the jail. Business check programs. We have several businesses in the outlying areas that, deputies need to go by, check the businesses, leave a card in the door saying, hey, we've checked your business, everything checked out okay. Youth awareness programs. I would like to see the DARE program re-implemented. A Citizens Police Academy, GED classes for the inmates at the jail. I'd like to see a sheriff's department's website or a social media page to keep the citizens informed on, what's going on at the jail. What's the crime trends going on in this neighborhood, things to look out for. A law enforcement explorers post, for youth 16 to 21 that's interested in a career in law enforcement. Starting to explore post back up is great for the kids. I had a kid up at Woodbury Church of Christ the other day come up to me and say, hey, when y'all going to start to explore post back up? I want to get into law enforcement, and I want to do this, this, and this, and this. And I told him, I said, we would look into it after the election, and because I'm trying to devote most of my time doing that when I'm not, working shift.
Yeah, and I think another big thing is you could partner up with the schools on that, because now it seems like with the way that the schools have changed some personnel and whatnot, that they're opening more to, offering different programs to trying to get these kids into a career path.
Right.
And law enforcement is a career path.
I know some of your bigger schools in your other counties, they have a criminal justice program that goes with their vocational programs that they have. Getting back to the DARE program, we've already got a SRO that rotates between the 6 grammar schools. He could, teach the DARE program on the days that he's
at each school.
At these schools, and it would be a minimum cost to have him trained as a DARE officer. But I think their SROs need to be teaching in the classrooms. I know when I worked at the grammar school and at the high school, I taught a couple of classes every quarter.
Yeah.
Every 6 or 9 weeks I was teaching a different class, whether it be, drug and alcohol education or, driver's license, information, that type of stuff. So, we've got to focus on our kids.
Yeah. Focus on the community, getting them involved as much as you can in a good way. One question, and I've often offered to do this: how willing are you to work with the media?
I believe the jail needs to have, or the sheriff's office needs to have, a public information officer, whether it be myself or someone I would appoint. I know back you know, a year or so ago, there was a double homicide out in the Choctaw, Bradyville area. You know, citizens were concerned about, you know, this subject hadn't been caught yet. You know, they were concerned about, you know, hey, are we going to be safe out here? And the question was, you know, mentioned to our current sheriff, you know, hey, what can you tell us about this? And the answer was, this investigation has been turned over to the TBI. If you want any questions, you need to ask them. You know, the sheriff needs to be the one to, you know, get with the TBI and, you know, find out what he can release and, you know, come back and tell the citizens, the constituents that vote for him, you know, what's going on. You know, they want to be informed and kept up to date of what's going on. Yeah. And right now it's not being done.
I don't think it has been done since he's taken office, unfortunately. And, you know, we did have, in the previous administration, there was a public information officer. How, you know, public information officers, and I know the knock on, you know, him having a public information, well, that's all he does. Well, you can actually have a deputy or an officer be double up as a public information officer. That's and if you don't believe me, Murfreesboro does it all the time. They've got two. And of course, Sheriff's Department's got a public information officer that doesn't fight crime, but but you know, she's good at what she does.
You know, a small agency, like I said, you know, if it's not the sheriff, it could be the, you know, chief deputy, or you could, you know, appoint somebody to, you know, talk to the media. You know, when something happens, you know, you need to have, you know, the media wants to, they're constantly wanting information, so you know,
right.
You need to have someone out there, you know, giving out what information you can give them in a timely manner, you know, whether it be, you know, this is all I've got to say right now, and, you know, we will have another briefing, you know, 2 hours from now or 3 hours from now. The public just needs to be kept informed.
And I don't think the media here, and I know I'm speaking for myself and everything, I don't think the media here is going to press. And, you know, you've seen some media in some areas, you know, they're asking 1,000 questions.
Right.
The media here isn't going to, you know, going to press for a lot of information. They just want something that they can give out to the public to calm their fears, like you say.
Right.
You know, and I've always stated, you know, let the media be of help to you. What are you scared of? That's the, you know, when you talk to some of these, you know, some of these officials, they just kind of clam up. Well, why are you clamming up? I don't want to get sued, you know, or whatever. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help you, because if somebody escapes from jail, per se, the quicker the public knows about it, the quicker eyes can be, the community, as you mentioned, can help.
Right.
If you don't alert the media, and you try to put it, and yes, Facebook is effective, but you don't alert the media, they can't get it out on their sites or whatever, however they go about getting the information out. And, you know, there have been some cases that I didn't find out about a prisoner escape until, you know, half a day after. And by that time, they could have been gone to Mexico by then, you know.
You know, having a good relationship with the news media, you know, I think it's a positive. You know, the better relationship you have with them, you know, the better I feel the better the press is going to be. You know, they can help you, you know, or
they can hurt you.
They can hurt you bad.
Yeah.
So, you know, power of the pen is
important.
Powerful.
Yeah. Some of the things the Cannon County Sheriff's Department will have if you are elected, one of them is visible patrols in the communities and schools.
Right. You know, yeah, we only have, you know, 2 deputies on the road at a time, but, you know, they need to be visible in the communities. The sheriff and his command staff needs to, you know, attend community functions, school functions, just to be visible, and it's good PR. You know, the Sheriff's Department under my administration, if elected, we will enforce all criminal statutes. We'll enforce the county wheel tax sticker. There will be no leniency on drunk, drug, or impaired driving. If you drive drunk, drug, or impaired, you will go to jail. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's quite a few burglaries in the county. A lot of times, property crimes kind of get put on the back burner. I will try to make sure that the stolen property is recovered and returned to the owners. Our job is to apprehend offenders. We're going to do that, and we're going to enforce compliance with traffic laws. We've had probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 fatalities this year in the county, either from drugged, drunk, impaired driving, excessive speed, running stop signs or whatever. So, a lot of people think that's just trivial stuff, but, if you stop the small stuff, it keeps, bigger stuff from happening. So, that's what, my administration will do if elected.
Might be a difficult question for you to answer, I'm not sure. I'm going to ask it anyway. We have one that is running for constable. How, if he's elected constable, which I'm sure he will be because he's running unopposed and running for constable of Cannon County, how does your office plan to work with constables?
I know right now, the last couple administrations, constables really hadn't had any role in doing anything. They've pretty much had all their powers taken from them. But constables can, they can serve civil process to free up your deputies to do something else. They could do school traffic to free up a deputy that needs to be doing something else. Constables can, they can go to these school events, to be an extra, set of eyes and ears and, to help if need be.
Right.
So, I don't have a problem with constables, helping out in, that manner.
Coffee County uses constables, and they use them effectively. I've seen Warren County used to. Now I don't know if they still do. I've seen some constable cars up there. I don't know if Rutherford County, I don't believe, has any constables, but yeah, constables can be used. It just all how you go about using them,
Right.
And yeah, unfortunately here in Cannon County, they've been stripped of any law enforcement powers. Now, with the new administration, a new commission coming up, it could be an issue to where they could vote to reinstitute those powers, depending on, who those constables are. I'm sure is possibly one of the considerations and things of that nature. But, all right. We're fixing to wrap up here, it looks like, because I know you've got some other things that you've got to go do. But one thing that you want to emphasize is some of the things that you would do if elected sheriff.
Right. If you'll let me, I've got a little statement that I would like to read.
Yeah.
It took me a while to write it, and I want to make sure that I get it out there word for word. And it says, if elected sheriff, I will take my constitutionally elected office for granted.
You will not.
I will not take I'm sorry. I will not take my constitutionally elected office for granted. I will serve for and with the citizens of Cannon County in a manner that represents their best interests to guarantee their freedom and liberties. As a sheriff for all the people, I will be vigilant in my duties and responsibilities and do what is right, not what is always popular. All I ask for you is to take the time to look at the qualifications of all the candidates running for office and vote for the one who is most qualified for the job. In closing, I would like to say that law enforcement is one of the most necessary yet expensive and complex services provided by the county. The quality and the extent of the services provided are limited by the availability of resources. To ensure that the highest level of services provided, the County Sheriff's Office will make use of the most efficient and effective management and budgeting techniques available. I know that I will not have time to see everybody during the election campaign, but I would like to take this opportunity to ask for your vote and support in the August 2nd general election, as I'm running for I'm the Republican candidate for office of sheriff.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, good luck this coming August, and maybe we'll see you in a sheriff's uniform.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.